I'd like to welcome Paul Santiago to the podcast. Did I say your name right, Paul?
Yes, you did.
All right, thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
So, Paul is a wedding filmmaker based in California. Whereabouts in California are you exactly?
We are in Fullerton, California. We're probably like 5 miles away from Disneyland.
Oh, cool. So, do you get like the um, fireworks and everything every night, or are you a little bit further away from that?
I've been here. We've been living here for since 2008, and up until like 3 years ago, whenever the fireworks start, I always think it's like gunshots. So yeah, we could hear it.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. So, how did you get into wedding filmmaking?
So it all started when I was in the Philippines in 2004 when I discovered that I enjoyed making all of these weird videos for school. And I told my girlfriend at that time, who's my wife now, I told her, you know what? I think I want to get into filmmaking because I'm having so much fun because I'm a marketing and sales student, so everything's about business. And then that one class, they're like, okay, you need to make an advertisement for a product that you're selling, and then we started doing all these stupid videos. I'm like, okay, I think I want to do that. And then she said she went to a different college, which was a bigger college, like an Ivy League school, quality in the Philippines. Excuse me. Um,
How dare you
who
cough
went
on my podcast?
I have dry mouth. It's so dry here in California.
Well, it's
So,
not negative 15 like it is here in Wisconsin. I
oh,
mean,
I was
it's
just gonna
March.
ask about.
It's March 4th, man, and it's so cold. I mean, spring literally started 2 days ago or whatever, and it's like the dead of winter. It's crazy.
That is, yeah. I'm happy I'm here right now.
Yeah, I
so
bet.
so I told my girlfriend at that time, and then she said, I have this friend who's a up and coming animator, and he's been doing a lot of movies and commercial work. His name is Julius. And then she said, I'm gonna introduce you to him. And then we met, we hit it off right away, and now we're more closer than they are.
Oh, nice. So is that your business partner now, or
Actually, he no, he we used to have a business together back in the Philippines, but
cool?
he's there now. And so he told me, you know what, the best thing you need to do is you need to learn to edit first before you direct a movie, because most of the film editors hate directors who don't know how to shoot
Yes.
and don't know how to edit.
Yeah.
So from there, I went to he told me like the day of the when us meeting, he said, okay, in 2 days, go to my house. I'll teach you how to edit. So I go to his house. He taught me the basics. And, when you learn the basics, it takes you like weeks, if not months, right?
Yeah. Or
The next
years,
day,
depending.
yeah, or years, yeah.
Yeah.
So the next day he called me. He said, hey, you need to go to MTV at 10 at night because they're looking for an editor for the show that's going to air the next day. So I go, not knowing anything. I just know the C for cut, and then in out, JKL in
Yeah.
out, yeah, and then
And how to use the mouse. Yeah.
yeah, and then I get there, and they said, okay, this is what you need to do, blah blah blah, and I had no idea what to do. So I call him, and we were on the phone from 11 at night to 3 in the morning. He was just going through the whole thing,
He edited
and I
with
was
you by proxy, basically.
pretty much, yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
And I'm a morning person, so 11 o'clock to 5 in the morning every day isn't ideal for me. So I told him I don't really want to do this, and then months later I found that this one guy who needs his wedding films edited.
Oh, nice.
And then so I started editing for him, and then eventually from watching all the videos of the shots, I started shooting as well. And then now and then that was it. Like I love doing weddings more than anything because everyone's happy and everything's so
Yeah.
beautiful and well prepped.
it's also organized chaos too. And I always
Yes.
say to everyone that I shoot with is, if you can shoot a wedding, you can shoot anything, because you can back up on a regular commercial shoot and just do it again, or like a car shoot, or whatever it is, and it's not like a moment that can never be repeated like a wedding. So if you can roll on a wedding and not what am I looking for? Not screw up, or not really cause an issue with the wedding day, like kind of blend in with the scenes, you can do anything. That's my heavy belief, and anything in the video world, like to a film set, to Hollywood, anything like that. I think it's a great place to prove yourself, and a great place to really gain a lot of skills, because it's all the same thing. You're using almost the same tools. You're directing almost the same way. You're really running and gunning, through everything. So I don't know if that's your experience or not, but how do you usually run a wedding? Do you do it all by yourself? Do you have a team, or how do you do that?
I mean, so I wanted to add to
Oh,
what
sure.
you said, because I feel like the videographers who are coming up or starting, they need to understand that weddings are different from filmmaking. So, like the hardest, the most difficult applicants we have, people who apply for a job with
Hmm.
us that come from film schools, are tough. Like it's so hard for us to crack, to tell them like, guys, you need to know that this isn't filmmaking. You can't demand $40 an hour from me and not have any wedding experience. So
True. Yeah. Good
you
point. Yeah.
yeah, so you have to like know that these are different things. Like you're right. You can't really repeat anything. You could set up shots, but you
Yeah.
can't really repeat, because the audience is gonna know, oh crap, this is fake. Like
Yeah.
they're detached from it. But yeah, to answer your question, we shoot at least, I send at least two guys
Okay.
to film. I never film alone, because I used to do that with when I started out, I was filming with mini DV cameras like the
Hmm.
X8A1,
Yeah.
right? And it's okay because those things run until the tape's done.
Yeah. Exactly.
For the new cameras, like the DSLR cameras, they stop at 30
30
minutes. And
minutes. Yeah.
sometimes if I do a Hindu ceremony for 2 hours, I'm screwed if I'm shooting by myself. So yeah, at least two people we shoot
Yeah.
with.
Do you shoot all 4K?
No 4K.
No 4K.
No
Um,
4K.
so what are you shooting on, a Canon 5D Mark IV or Sony
Yes. Canon
Mark IV?
5, we're all Canon,
Okay.
and 5D Mark 4 and 6D Mark 2.
Have you looked at the cinema cameras, like the
Yes.
C100 Mark II?
Yes. The C100 Mark 2 I used for a bit, and I want to say that it's a really great camera. Like it's so pro. It
Yeah.
looks really really good. Dual card slot recording,
No limit.
everything.
No limit
Yeah,
recording. Yep.
everything you want in the camera.
I
But
I
it's
have
just,
one C100 Mark II and three C100 Mark Ones.
oh
Um,
man.
yeah, and my biggest thing is, and you touched on it, is that limited recording. I started out with a 70D, like a couple 70Ds, Canon 70Ds, and uh, to my embarrassment, I was in the middle of a wedding and I didn't realize that DSLRs, because I came from camcorders, so just like you with the tapes, I was like, just let it roll in the background. And I was shooting a wedding by myself. And to my embarrassment, I didn't know that DSLRs stopped at 30 minutes. So it was a Catholic ceremony, and my camcorder up in the balcony was one of my 70Ds, and it stopped as she was walking down the aisle, basically. So I lost that shot. So I don't want to
Ooh.
make that mistake again, put it that way. So I switched to a cinema camera. I have a GH5 as well, which doesn't have that recording limit. And that's probably just my more of a fear, in my background, of doing that. But so you shoot with two people mostly, and that's a good point. Why do you choose the Mark IVs?
I like the Mark IVs because I could shoot full HD 60 frames.
Hmm.
I don't think I need to shoot 120.
No,
I feel like that was
sometimes,
a
but yeah,
phase.
yeah, yeah,
I feel like that was a phase.
yeah.
So looking at the 1DX Mark II, I'm like, oh my god, it looks so good and it could shoot 120 frames. But I'm like, I feel like it's overkill for me because 4K is already too much if I go with the slow. I don't really slow mo a lot of stuff, so I've trained myself to shoot very very steady with a monopod.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't want to use any slow mo. But then having a full HD 60 frames, I'm like, my God, this is like a blessing because it makes everything easier for me to tell my story.
Yeah. Did you always shoot 60 frames per second?
Not always. We used to shoot 30 frames with
Mhm.
a Canon T3Is and T2Is, and then when we had the 6Ds, we're like, okay, let's try 24. And oh my god, it looks so good. But then when we slow it down, we're like, shit. So oh, sorry. Can I curse? Can I swear?
No. I don't care as long as we're not really throwing it around too bad. But
Okay.
I have the podcast marked as a family friendly or whatever. So, but yeah,
I said,
no,
shit.
that slowing down of 24 frames, it looks so choppy. Like, yeah,
It looks terrible.
yeah. I learned that.
Like
I learned that the hard way myself too. You know.
So so when with the 6Ds I was shooting 24 and we discovered 720p 60 frames and we're like, "Oh, you know what? We could slow things down." And we started whenever we need something slowed down, we shoot 720 and then we just resize it to make it
Yeah.
look bigger and you know, ever since that time, couples never notice it.
No,
And
no, we're
that's when
gonna
I
notice it,
discovered
but that's yeah. The
exactly.
couples doesn't. Yeah. Yeah.
That's when
Definitely.
I realized we don't need 4K because couples don't care.
Yeah.
We don't need 120 frames because couples don't care. We don't need to gimbal all the time because couples don't care.
Yeah.
As long as you capture the moment,
Yeah.
that's when you get the good reviews. That's when you get referrals from your couples. That's when the vendors are going to refer
Yeah.
you because that's your
Definitely.
job.
Yeah, I've been listening to all the other podcasts around about wedding video and the Facebook groups and everything, and everybody keeps saying, shoot to impress your clients, not to impress other filmmakers. You know, so that's like the best advice that I can give is if your clients are happy with it, that's all that matters. You know, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
My really good friend Sarah Pendergraph, we attended we were first batch of wedding film retreat, which I would suggest everyone to go to because it's just an amazing experience. She said, we get all of these likes from people from the industry and we get interviewed and blah blah blah, but honestly it doesn't really bring us any money
Mhm.
because the people who bring money are the couples that would appreciate the work. So
Definitely.
at this point in our careers, we have to choose between do we need an award or do we need I
Money
really want money in my bank account that not winning. I mean, an award would be great, but
doesn't pay your bills. Definitely.
well,
Yeah, I'm
maybe
at
you'll
that.
get a mug.
What's that?
Sorry, maybe you'll get a mug or a coaster that has your name in it.
Yeah, right, right. Kind of like that gold watch you get for putting in 25 years in your day job. You know,
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's a heartbreak.
it's a gold watch, but it's not gonna pay. It's not gonna pay your bills. Kind of swinging into your podcast is called the Wedding Film Boss. Am I right with that? I
It's called
listened.
the wedding video
Oh,
boss.
excuse me, Wedding Video Boss. I listened to a couple episodes. Great stuff. I like how you're more business orientated because you said you went to school, you have a degree in business, and I really think that that's my downfall at understanding business side of things. Not to say that I consider myself an artist, but I'm more of like the creative mind behind my company, and my business partner is more of like the front end sales, and he does all the business stuff, taking care of our taxes and things. And I'm just awful at keeping up with what I purchase. He's always on me. What? You just bought this new piece of equipment. Where's the receipt for it? I'm like, just look at the Amazon account, man. It's right there. Print it off. He's like, it doesn't work like that, man. You know, I wish I had more of an insight on that. What do you? I liked how you said you needed to learn how to edit before you would go out and shoot. I would also add to that, if you're thinking about starting wedding film business or anything like that, you need to learn how to do the business end of it before you get too wrapped into the creative side, you know. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on that as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I mean, when we started out, it wasn't like, oh, I know exactly what to do. I graduated business school, and
Yeah.
this is how we're gonna do it. No, because coming from like, well, not me, but I know a lot of people who have full time jobs. I never had a full time job because my attention span is so short, and there's no way. I never had a desk job.
Lucky.
So I always said, when you start out, especially in a wedding industry, and you start charging like, okay, I'm gonna charge them $1,000, and I'm gonna do it every weekend. $1,000 every weekend's $4,000 a month, so that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
It is,
But
but it's not.
yeah, but if you don't know how to handle your money, like computing costs, and
Yeah.
it's yeah. So when I started out, it wasn't like we know exactly what to do. We were charging like $500
Yeah.
for 4 hours and $1,000 for 8 or something like that. And until my wife, she barges barges in the office, she's like, I'm gonna quit whatever I'm doing, and I'm gonna help you. And she showed me a computation of everything that we had, and she's like, look, you're making $98 from this one wedding. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I watched the Rob Adams podcast. I watched a little bit of it, and he's talking about the spreadsheet that he made. And if you do, what did he? How did he say it? Most wedding videographers are making less than fast food minimum wage people, and I think he's hitting it on the head there. And a lot of people don't look at it like you're making an hourly wage. Oh, we just paid you, $3,500 to film our wedding, and they only see you the day of the wedding, and maybe that's 12 hours. Yeah, $3,500 for 12 hours of work, that's not bad, but they're not considering if you have employees, if you have 40 hours to do that wedding film edits on the back end. You have to factor all that in, and it's just really hard, at least in this area, to have people realize of all the work that we do put into it behind the scenes, and
Yeah. I feel like the people who are starting out need to know at least like a foundation of how to run a business. Like you have to be
yeah,
registered, and you have to have insurance,
Yep.
and all of these things, because yeah, it's going to be fun if you're earning, $2,000 a week, but then what if something happens, or you have to be covered and your costs as I feel like you have to be more inclined to finding out how to run your business first, and then you think about how to sell it afterwards,
yeah.
instead of the other way around.
Yeah, I was helped out a lot by my business partner because he does a entertainment side, DJ side. So he's been good in the guidance of that part. So I've been a little lucky because I can just sit back and worry about the creative and dealing with the clients after we get them. So it's I like that. I've been kind of doing a lot of client work as well, getting clients, following up in emails, things like that. But that's not my forte. So Uh, so how many weddings does your company handle usually a year?
Right now we averaged 75 weddings a year.
Oh, wow. So are you more of a bulk kind of, or I guess it's not bulk, but like kind of like a, not a bulk brand. I guess it would be a bulk brand. So you do multiple weddings per weekend then and have a lot of people.
Yes.
That's nice.
There was a time we did 5 weddings in a weekend, and I
Wow.
almost died because I mean, it's great. Like on Monday, you're gonna be like, holy crap, we have like 5 weddings we need to edit. Great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just so much stress on everyone and recharging all the batteries and
Yeah.
making sure
And your own batteries too.
yeah.
5
So
weddings. Yeah, that's a lot.
oh yeah. So we used to do 100 weddings a year for like two
Wow.
straight years, and then we raised our prices and we did 75, and then we raised our prices again, and then I think last year we did almost 70. So I'm trying to cut it down. We're gonna raise our prices soon, so I'm gonna try to cut it down to like hopefully 60 weddings, and
Yeah.
then that's it. And then I want to concentrate on the podcast.
It's always great to do less work for more. I always find that. We raised our
Yes.
prices this year as well. We only have 5 weddings this year for video. I do also do photography myself. I have like 10 photography weddings, and I also work a full-time job and have 2 kids. So my plate is pretty full.
Oh yeah.
Do you do any commercial work too besides weddings?
Not we don't do a lot of those. Maybe like one or two a year. I mean, if we ever have an irresistible offer, then we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
But usually we refer it out to other people.
My background was commercial work, so that's kind of more where I feel comfortable in editing, like 60-second, 90-second spots for TV. When I do an Instagram edit for wedding videos, I just feel like it's so tight, like I'm a better short form editor than long form editor, but I can also put together a film that's 12 minutes long that I feel very confident, but I just feel like the pace of a 60-second Instagram video just feels really, really great to me, personally. Do you guys do any Instagram? What are your packages like?
We have I think we have 5 packages. We have a 6-hour package with highlight only. We have um an 8-hour package with a full feature and a highlight. We have a package with a love story video in it,
Hmm.
and we have a same day edit package. And then our fifth one is we since I can't swear here, we call it a WTF package, which is the highest package that we have.
Nice. WTF package.
Yeah,
So that's like everything then. They
that's
basically
every
they own you for the day. Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah.
we're gonna close shop. No double bookings. You get 2 masters, and then everything we could do.
2 masters. What do you
So
explain to
we
me
have
what's that?
master shooters. I'm one of the master shooters, and then I have Jean, the other lead. And so we try to do 2 weddings on a day now,
Okay.
instead of like 3 or 4 before.
Gotcha.
So now we have like a master.
So basically you act as like a director then.
More of like a lead. Like, okay, make sure the lights are positioned here. I'm gonna film the bride.
Mhm.
And then I delegate everything. Make sure the second takes care of the groom. We
Gotcha.
have radios, so we tell each other,
Yeah.
okay, make sure the groom doesn't leave the room. We're gonna go outside, stuff like that. But it
Do you-
masters more of like, I guess Jean and I have always tried to compete with each other when it comes to like our shots, but we was still staying within the standard. So he does a lot of experimenting, and he's like, what do you think about this? I'm like, oh my God, that looks so great. And then I do it for my own weddings just so it like stays within the style.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's pretty much a master's like in charge of, just in case the photographer's not good, we're gonna step in, and because our style
been
is
there. I've
we
been
don't-
there. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, we don't really try to control the day. We just let the photographer do their thing,
Yeah.
but train ourselves to, just in case,
Yep.
it's their second wedding.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, or it's their cousin from down south or something like that that's shooting it. And, I've been there. I like to do that too. I'll step back and let the photographer run the portrait sessions, first looks, stuff like that. But I'll step in when I need my shot, you know, definitely. So, um, it's kind of like a luxury sort of if, because I do photography as well. I shoot weddings for a living as well, and all that pressure is on you as a photographer. Being the videographer, you can kind of just sit back and be like, ah, yeah, no pressure. I just got to hit my marks. If there's a shot that I want, I just step in. But usually, and not to say that you're riding off the photographer's coattails, but it's more of like, you know, they kind of got their direction of how they want people posed, and that doesn't really translate too well into a film. So you kind of just let them do it, and then you maybe get your 20 minutes with the couple or whatever, and that's really all you need, you know. So
Yeah, I have a
I've
lot of photographer friends that I talk to, and I always tell them our style is like this, and
mhm.
they're like, you know what, we appreciate that because we kind of have like a formula in our heads that this has to happen. But then there are times when they run out and of ideas, and
Yeah,
then that's when I step in, like, okay, maybe do this because I,
yeah.
I don't really like posed shots, so we always try to make sure they engage. Which I'm gonna have a an episode coming out on Wednesday about engaging the bridal party,
Oh,
and
okay, cool.
I talk about how we do it and how why it's important, and one of the factors is it builds rapport with the photographer to know that, okay, we're in good hands because this we're a good team, instead of like being just a fly on the wall, like,
Yeah.
you kind of charged $4,000 for this, sure, it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I always try to say that too. I'm not just a random fat guy in the room pointing a camera at you. I'm there for you.
Yeah.
Definitely. Um, Back to my podcast and mine and Brandon podcast here that we do. It's kind of all over the place, and different different topics that we talk to. We've been talking to a lot of local people in the Wisconsin Wausau area here. You're the second guest I've had that's been out of state. Um, what is your advice to me, I guess, about keeping it more on track? Like, do you do show notes? Do you just, I mean, you and I are just kind of spitballing here. I didn't really prepare for anything, but I kind of like that, to just get the initial reaction off, and then I plan on doing more organized shows down the road once I get more under my belt. I think you're going to be like my 21st guest, I think, or something like that. But it's more just like origin stories of people that I'm really interested in, and networking with my local vendors and stuff. So um,
So you're asking about
yeah, like
for
what
your, right,
yeah, what
how
do you
do you
suggest? Like, what direction are you going? Sticking with one direction in your podcast? I mean, or are you just going to branch off? Because I've talked to people that aren't even really wedding related, truthfully, and it's been great. We've had great conversations, but kind of pigeonholed myself here and sticking with weddings.
I mean, first I try to find out what really is the one thing that I'm good at and I'm interested in. Like, if I run out of topics, that means I'm not interested in the like my niche, right?
Yeah.
So I've always loved the business part of like the I just read a lot of business books. Like, I don't read books, but when I see Seth Godin comes out with a new book, or Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm on it because that's the only thing that keeps me alive. Like, holy crap, this is how you make money. This is amazing.
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
focus on that part, but then since I'm in the wedding industry, I zone in on the business side of being a wedding creative. And I can't really talk about the direction we're going because that's going to be a surprise. But it's pretty much going to be more of like the business side.
Cool.
So when it comes to me coming up with content and organizing everything, I actually have an office manager here who comes in twice a week, and we just spitball. And I actually have this notebook I call brain dump, and I just dump every single idea I have in there. So if I run out of ideas, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot about this. We could do this. And then from there, I talk to I feel like I just need to have to talk to someone for me to be able to come out with content, because if I do it by myself, just like what I told you, I have a really short attention span. It's just gonna come out. I'm next thing you know, I'm on my in front of the PS4 playing my game. So I have to be talking to someone, and it just comes out naturally. And what I
Yeah.
do, since I'm a videographer, I have audio equipment around everywhere. I just pull one out and I just record myself, so that I have something to look back at.
I utilize the notes app in my phone on my iPhone, and I type a lot of things in because it's nice. It syncs all over all my devices. So I've been scrolling through my previous show notes, thinking of questions to ask you on my Mac here. So yeah, I really like the conversational point of it, and I think I annoy my wife a lot when I talk about things that I'm really passionate about, and she just doesn't really care because she's not in the wedding area at all, and she enjoys that I'm passionate about certain things, like about new gear. I'll talk to her about this new camera that I just bought, and she's just like, I don't understand any of that, and stop talking to me about that. And I'm a very obsessive person, so when I get something on my mind, I just kind of stick to it. Definitely.
We're the same. Yep. This is exactly why I built the podcast, because my wife, we work together. We're together every day, and we work together 24/7.
Yeah.
Like the only time we're apart is if I'm in the bathroom or I'm outside walking the dog or something. That's the only time we're apart.
Nice.
So whenever we come home from work and I still want to talk about work, she's like, I don't want to talk to you about that. I'm exhausted. Can we just talk about something else? But I'm like, this is what I love to talk about. what my drive is. So having this podcast is a great outlet for me to talk about
Yeah.
what I'm passionate about, and to have like another creative outlet. Because if when you work in a wedding industry, the only time you could be creative is at a wedding,
Or in
if
front of your
if no one
computer or
books
whatever.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, if no one books me, then I can't do anything. So having this and just hit record and just start talking really helps.
Yeah, definitely.
So
And
yeah.
I think we started around the same time too, in January. We said over Facebook, so that's pretty cool. I haven't really. I mean, you've pushed it a lot more than I can. But I kind of like it just as a hobby, getting it out there, having people listen. A lot of my previous clients have been listening, so that's always great. And I'm trying to swing it into like a marketing tool for me to advertise ourselves. So Brandon and I just did a podcast last week, and we released it today about all our packages, and we kind of explained what our packages are. And we also did one about our love story. So you kind of said that you had a package with a love story. What does yours entail? How does that work?
The love story, we just bring a couple somewhere, and then we just talk to them about how they met. And then we have a set of questions that we show to them, and we're like, okay, here's the questions, but you guys are not allowed to talk about it. So they read it separately,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like laughing, looking at each other, and we're like, no talking. And then we go to somewhere, and then we interview them separately and together.
Nice.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. We
That's
kind of have
exactly
like a little bit of
That's exactly what
romantic.
mine is, or ours
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Because I'm not really the kind of person. At least I'm not really the kind of videographer, that wants to make this epic movie about their love story. Because I call myself a videographer. I don't call myself a filmmaker. So I don't make film. I just cover, and so I can't stand super cheesy, like, let's reenact how they met. And
Oh.
hey, so we met at a club, and then you have like a reenactment or
No,
something like
nothing
that.
like that. Yeah.
It's just need like with my mind, but I'm not that kind of person. So I want it just straight, simple, and you know what? They appreciate it, and they pay like $1,000 extra.
Yeah. Do you show it at do you show it at the reception?
Some of them they want to show it at the reception. Some of them they just want it
Just for themselves? That's
there.
cool. Yeah, ours is usually showed at the reception because I'm just too much of a chicken to do a same day edit myself, and I'm not. I could probably pull it off, but I don't want to have a heart attack before I'm 40. you know? So, I'd rather do that. And then I always say it's a great replacement for your run of the mill slideshow, like the baby pictures and, you know, stuff like that. So, I really enjoy doing them because as a videographer, you don't get like an engagement session like photographers do. So it gives us a great chance to understand our clients and see how they interact with each other. And it kind of really trains us up to see what they're going to be like on the day of the wedding, you know, and then they can see how we work for the day of the wedding as well.
Yeah, it builds a rapport too. Like when I was starting out, you know, I come to the wedding and they're like, "Hi, hey," and then the photographer comes in. They're like, "Hey," and they're like, "Oh my God, you're here!" I'm like, "I want that. I want that
You're right.
relationship." And we never have that because you know we don't have any engagement shoots.
Yeah.
So now that we have Love Story, we get to have that relationship too, which is a little deeper because you kind of share like really personal stuff with them, and then we always tell them, is there something that you want to take out, or you know,
Yeah.
so you build that relationship more than anything, but you have to charge for it. Don't do it for free.
No, don't do it for free. I had a wedding last year. We did a love story 4, and the bride and I were talking as she was getting ready on the wedding day, and one of her bridesmaids walks up to us and she goes, "How long have you guys known each other?" And we're like, 5 months, 6 months. She's like, "Oh, you've been talking like you've been old friends for years." I'm like, that's the best compliment you can get from anyone, because then, you know, you're more than just hired help of the day of the wedding. You're actually fitting in, and everybody is treating you as, you know, an equal, you know, because you're there to do a different thing than they are, but you're there because you want to be there, and you're actually like a friend to them, you know. So there's nothing I can describe that feels better than that, you know. Well, there's a couple things I could describe that feel better than that, but nothing we're going to talk about on the podcast.
This is family friendly. That's the thing. Like I've always told people, you know, the secret to connecting with people is actually connecting to them.
Right.
Because in this day and age of social media, we're out of touch. Like an interview I did with Jeremy Chow, one of the famous fine art photographers. He said, you know, liking someone's posts or commenting on someone's post, that doesn't mean like you're good friends.
No.
But the social media just smashed that wall and said that, hey, you should invite them to your birthday because they like your posts. You know, there's no real relationship. So the wedding professionals need to remember that there needs to be a connection. There needs to be people are reaching out to you. And if you just say, okay, here's my prices, good luck, then you lost them, because there has to be a connection. And, you know, like, just like what the bridesmaid told you, if ever she were single or she's engaged, now she wants that kind of relationship, and she wants to forget you because
it's a great example. You know, you can't buy that kind of marketing, definitely, you know. And in turn, what you said about the, what was I going to say? Darn it.
Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no. I had the thought.
Let me ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to ask you how the market is there
in Wisconsin,
the wedding industry.
Well, if you want to book a lot of weddings, you can, but you have to be in a certain price range. And I don't want to give up all my weekends to be in that certain price range, put it that way. You know, so the price range we're at, and we're booking, you know, I would like to be at 5 to 8 weddings per year, because this isn't my main gig. You know, I do other things, but if I could do, you know, 5 to 10, 5 to 8 weddings a year, I'm comfortable with that, because then because I do everything. I do all the shooting. I have friends from high school that work with me for the day of, but they're just on for the day. So after that, I do everything. I do all the editing. I do all the client contact afterwards. I'm like almost like Trent Reznor for 9 Inch Nails. He does everything after the shows, but he hires out people when he goes on tour. That's kind of how I am, sort of. But the market, it's better for photography in this area, definitely in Wisconsin. If you go southern Wisconsin and into Chicago, it's a little bit bigger, but the price ranges are still kind of low, in my opinion. And maybe I'm just not in the right circles, but it seems like this year there's been more and more people starting out with videography that kind of driving that price range down a little bit in this area.
Okay.
But I'm okay with it. You just can't really, you can't really judge yourself by what other people are doing, so how about,
just
go ahead.
tough case. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
How about your area? California, I'm assuming it's pretty nice.
There's like so many people here. There's like, I always tell people, there's so much work for everyone.
Yeah.
That I think the best way for you to get work is to refer work out.
Yep. And I do that
we
too. I'll refer out people if they're not in the price range that we want to be at. But we try to get as many weddings as possible at the price range we want to be at. And the key that I've figured out is learning how to say no to the wrong client. If I can't walk in the door and have that great relationship with them and people thinking that we've been friends for years, then there's no point in doing it for me, so yeah.
So when maybe like 4 years ago, that our mentality was, you need to learn how to fire your clients.
Yeah. Good
That's
idea.
what we call it. And once we see a red flag, I'm like, I don't want to work with them. So we've been getting a lot of work. We do 100 weddings a year. So we have the luxury to say no to people. And then after those 4 years, I'm like, you know what? They don't know what they're doing. And the only resource they have is like the knot, which tells them you need to pay your videographers $1,200.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the only thing.
And don't give them a meal at the reception as well. Yeah.
So that's what I did. I started changing the firing your clients to educating your clients. Yes. And I feel like that is the path that people need to take to stand out and to have a sustainable business, is to just start educating your client. I mean, it's cute being on Instagram and having like, yay, like having all these posts, but at the end of the day, 8 years later into your career, if you're still open, if your company is still open after 8 years, God bless you. But, the people need to see a connection and need to know that your brand is dependable when it comes to, because I'm going to give you $5,000. If you're going to meet me at like a Starbucks, or you're going to have me sign this paper that's handwritten, I don't think I want to give you that, the 5,000,
Yeah.
We buy our phones for like $1,000, but there's like contracts and you can't blah, blah, blah. So you have to treat yourself the same. Like the higher up you go, the more your brand should be like professional and,
Yeah. We meet everybody at Starbucks. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, I know. Everyone does. Hey, to be fair, we have an office, but we don't have coffee here. So you're actually at an advantage.
Yeah, and I don't drink coffee either, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, that's a great idea. Having a professional contract is leaps and bounds. And
that's the reason why I just push for. It's not like I'm trying, because I have friends who charge so much money and they meet their clients at Starbucks. But my point is, when we started out, I found this office space for $400. And I'm like, you know what? We need to have this office space because we're probably going to be the only videographers that have an office.
Yeah. And no, it makes sense. I've thought about getting an office. Financially right now, it's not feasible for me, but definitely makes sense
Yeah,
because not even
yeah,
just meeting clients there, but actually leaving because you don't have a full-time gig, leaving your house to do a job to separate your home and work life. Um, that definitely is important. You know.
oh yeah. Because I used to work at home for like a year,
Hmm.
and I find myself editing and then eating ice cream with cereal, and then I'm gonna fall asleep, and then I wake up the next day, and this is like at 3 in the afternoon, so it's like a nightmare for me to work at home. But yeah, it probably wasn't the best move for me getting an office when I was starting out, because just like what my wife showed me, you're earning $98 from this wedding,
Yeah.
but we've been constantly booking. Like, it was so easy for us to book because, just to give you an idea of what the office looked like, we rented a space in this warehouse that was under construction, and we were on the second floor, and it was like an old bank or something. So there's no floors, there's no ceilings, and the clients, they meet us at night in the parking lot in the back. So we go through this whole area where there's no ceilings and no floors, and one bride, she actually looked at me, she tapped me on the shoulder, she's like, "You're not gonna kill us, are you?" I'm like, no. Once you get into the office, it's gonna look so cute. But you know what? On the spot, they paid us.
Oh, nice.
It was so easy.
That's
I
great.
swear, it was so funny. It was the funniest thing.
Taking you into your murder room.
At least she asked. Because if that was me, I'd hit the guy in the head and then run.
Run. Nice. So, getting back to your podcast, are you on a regular schedule? Are you releasing every week?
Yes, I actually have 2 episodes a week,
2 episodes a week.
and
Oh,
we're pretty.
nice.
Yeah. So the first episode is the videography episode is Wednesdays, which is going to be talking about like hard drives and like engaging the bride is coming up or whatever. And then, since I love business so much, I
Oh, you
made a
split it.
masterclass Monday.
Oh, you split it
So
up. Oh, I understand.
yes.
Okay.
So
That's
masterclass Monday is when I bring in all these amazing people who educate fellow educators, and then they talk about their just like today, Kelly Dabb came out with symbiotic marketing, which is, I've never heard of that concept. And then she explained like how to keep your clients in that web. It's like a
that's
web of it's like a web that you just try to keep them until they book.
that's great.
And she explained like how to do it in your website, how to do it in your social media. It's amazing. Like, all these people, they bring in these information that they charge for, and they talk to me about it for free, and I
That's
cannot believe it. So I'm really grateful for these people.
yeah, this is great. I mean, starting the podcast, that's one of the reasons I did was to network with people. So yeah, definitely invaluable to me personally. So
Yeah,
I can only imagine the outreach that you have. That's awesome. Uh,
yeah.
as we're kind of wrapping up here, if people want to get a hold of you, where should they look? Check out the podcast, iTunes. What other platforms are you on?
So my podcast is Wedding Video Boss, and you could reach me on Instagram at Wedding Video Boss, or you could go to weddingvideoboss.com for to see the episodes. And we're coming up with a website with templates that we're going to be giving away for free, and all the show notes and stuff. And if you want to see my work as a wedding videographer, you could go to Boffo Video. That's Boffo Video. Um, BuffaloVideo.com or at Buffalo Video.
Awesome. I'll
Yeah.
include that in all the show notes. And I'd like to thank you for joining me on the podcast, Paul, today. And it was great to spend the last hour with you and talking. And you've educated me on a lot of things.
I hope I help out. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Paul.